So, I know I've done several of these in the past, and I thought, hey, it's been a while, and I haven't done one on comics yet. So I kind of thought about, like, what alien race would be good for, invading the Warhammer 40k universe. Like, which one would be the best one to really do? So I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, there's several, but I want to do this one first. So we're going to do, what if the Skrulls invaded Warhammer 40k? So this is going to be a fun one. So, yeah. What if the Skrulls invaded Warhammer? Now, you may be thinking right out the gate, well, that doesn't sound so bad. The Skrulls are just kind of like these human strength level aliens that can shapeshift. Wrong! The Skrulls are so much worse. Now, to be fair, right now in the Marvel Comics, there's the Kree-Skrull Empire led by Hulkling, and the Skrull Empire's been in shambles for a bit. For this scenario, this is going to be the height of the Skrull Empire power. Like, they were, aside from the Kree and Shi'ar, they were the top dog, one of the big three dogs in the galaxy, in the Marvel Universe. So, to have the Skrulls here, is at the height of their game. Like, let's say the Skrull fleet just rolled up into the Warhammer 40k universe. Let's talk about technology first, before we go into, like, the biology of it. The Skrull technology is vastly superior than most of the things in Warhammer 40k. I know what people are going to say, but the Space Marines can kill the Skrulls. Yeah, they're Space Marines, and Skrulls are small. You know what Skrulls also have? A weapon that can blow a hole through the Hulk. And the Hulk can regrow, and it can regenerate. I don't see a Space Marine doing that. Do you? No? Okay. Yeah. The Skrulls have technology that is vastly superior than most species. The only one, technology-wise, that can really rival them are the Tau. But military-wise, the Skrull are on par with the Imperium. So what this is that what if you took the technology of the Tau and you put it with the barbarity and the sheer numbers of the Imperium? You have a very aggressive, very technologically advanced race that is here to kick your teeth in and take your planet, and they don't care if they kill your children right in front of you. That's what you're dealing with the Skrulls. These guys have taken it to other species. They've taken it to Marvel superheroes. They've taken it to gods, and these guys are dangerous. So technologically speaking, their ship's incredibly fast. And I know, like, oh, but the ships for the other races are pretty powerful. Yeah, the Eldar craft worlds are pretty cool. The Imperium ships are cool, but the Imperium ships are pretty archaic. Like, they only have so many of those Empire class ships, and every time they lose one, they can't build it back. And the Skrulls can mass produce on a level of the Imperium and mass produce that same technology that the Tau can rival. Really, in terms of, like, who could rival them are, again, the Tau, the Necrons, and maybe the Eldar. But the Eldar's numbers and the Drakkari's numbers are pretty low. So really, like, in terms of, like, manufacturing and weapon and technology-wise, the Necron and the Tau are the two biggest threats. I would say the Imperium would give them a headache. I really would. But we'll get into why I think they would decimate the Imperium first before focusing on everyone else. But technologically speaking, they wouldn't really have a lot of rivals outside of those two. So the Skrulls, let's talk about their biology. Of course, we all know the Skrulls are shapeshifters. The Skrulls are incredible shapeshifters. They can mimic voices. They can mimic every organ down to a T. They can be male or female in an instant. You may be banging a hot chick you picked up at the bar, and it turned out to be a Skrull dude, and now you're just asking yourself all kinds of questions. So, the Skrulls are, of course, if you go back to Secret Invasion, both a terrible comic and a terrible Netflix show. I mean, not Netflix, Disney Plus show. But you know what, but that still proves there were some things in there that kind of showed that the Skrulls were a dangerous race. They got so damn good at mimicking people that magic couldn't detect them, psychics like Charles Xavier and Jean Grey couldn't detect them, Wolverine couldn't, like, smell the difference. Hell, Black Bolt was a Skrull for God knows how many years, and his own wife didn't realize that he had been replaced. So, there you have that to go for you. So let's put the Skrulls in the Imperium, and why I think the Imperium would be the first thing the Skrulls would go after, fervently. Why? The Skrulls are pretty racist towards humans. They really fucking hate humans because of, I don't know, Reed Richards and everyone else in the Marvel Universe. So they've really kind of they really hate pink skins. So the human technology, we don't have, the Imperium doesn't have scanning technology that could properly detect who's a Skrull and who's not. We can't do the whole, the whole thing test where we cut blood and test the blood through fire or something. We can't do that. We can't use psychers because they've mastered shapeshifting to a point where you can't tell that it's a Skrull or not. So yeah, they could easily, and I know what you're thinking. Well, what about the Space Marines? They couldn't genetically copy that. Au contraire, they could. You see, the Skrulls, like I said, would probably encounter a few hiccups when encountering, battling Space Marines and things like that. But you know what the Skrulls bring to the table? Genetic augmentation. And they have a whole army of Super Skrulls that can mimic the powers of other superheroes. Not only that, remember that whole shape-shifting thing I just talked about? Yeah, that whole thing of, they can mimic, certain people, like members of the Apothecary or, other soldiers and scientists and things like that. Even, they can mimic metal, so they could just infiltrate the Mechanicus, no problem. So, they could just capture and kill someone, take their place, and then have a nice fucking day. With poisoning the gene seed, or, sabotaging vital equipment from tanks to Titans. They could, they could even steal genetic material from Space Marines, from gene seed laboratories for Space Marines, harvest those, and apply it to now Space Marine Skrulls. Yeah. And the other thing is, too, the Imperium is already, paranoid enough as it is with, Xenos and Chaos. So, imagine what's gonna happen when, I don't know, a fucking Skrull imitates, a Sister of Battle or a member of the Inquisitorus, and just is like, hey, I heard reports that planet, the one with all the soldiers, yeah, they're all full of chaos now. Oh my god, they're full of chaos? Virus bomb that bitch! Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. The Skrulls could easily just take down the Imperium from within, like a goddamn gene stealer cult on steroids. So, that, now, granted, it would probably take a while to, decimate the Imperium from within, having Skrull agents and weakening the Imperium from within, while they have Super Skrulls and basic Skrull soldiers fighting the Imperium. So, but I think they could actually cripple, if not permanently put the dagger in the Imperium to begin with. So, you have that to go for you. Now, for other races, again, the Tau and Necrons technologically could keep up with them. Hell, I'm sure, when the Skrulls try to, mimic living metal, they gotta get used to that first. It is kind of tricky for them, but they can do it. So I think the Necrons, if they can figure it out fast enough, would probably invent something, and so would the Tau, to be like, hey, you're not a Tau, you're a Skrull, fucking kill him! And also, I do think that would the Tau and the Skrulls unite? I think the Tau would be like, hello, welcome to the greater good, and the Skrulls would be like, the greater good is us putting a boot through everyone's ass. So that's not good for anyone. The Tyranids and Chaos. Let's talk about them. The Tyranids and Chaos, the Tyranids' numbers would be dangerous, but the Skrull have, knowledge of fighting the Brood. But the Brood isn't like the Skrull. The Brood is dangerous, but they aren't on the same numbers that the Tyranids can produce. So the Tyranids might be a problem, but once they... I even think the Hive Fleet could probably detect which one of their Tyranids isn't like the other, because they're all mentally connected. So if it sees a Tyranid that the Hive Fleet isn't connected to, they're like, hey, fuck you! And be like, they all just gang up on that one Tyranid that turns out to be a Skrull trying to imitate them. So we have that, and again, and you're probably thinking, well, why do the Tyranids get to? They don't have any technology, and how can they detect the Tyranids? Like I just said, the Hive Fleet is all interconnected mentally. The Skrulls can't really link up with them, and can't do the, they can't just, they can have memories of a Tyranid, but they can't link to the hive mind. So the infiltration doesn't work. The hive mind is going to figure out, like, who's a Tyranid and who ain't. Excuse me. So yeah, I really do think that the Skrulls, if you put the Skrulls, the Skrull Empire, on full power, like this is the top of their game, these guys would come rolling up and just fuck everyone's day up. Now, the other question is, could they fall to chaos? That's a tricky one. That is a legit tricky question, because the Skrulls like to tamper in magic. They do know there is Skrull arcane magic, but the problem is that it can protect them, but I don't know how strong it is compared to, like, I don't know, the influence of chaos. And a lot of Skrulls are pretty warlike, and they like to play with, things they shouldn't. So, I don't know, Zenich and Khorne are going to be like, no, they're mine! No, they're mine! Quit it! It's mine! Give it! So it's going to be like that situation. I do think that that Skrull magic could probably protect them, but not for long. So there is a good chance that some of them could, we could get Chaos Skrulls, honestly. But, yeah, other than that, I do see that the Skrull Empire would be nothing short of just devastating to the 40k galaxy. A vast majority of the species, outside of a few, are archaic or organic. And actually, before I forget, because I keep dragging this video out, and I'm sorry, but there's one more race I didn't talk about: the Orcs. The Orcs, you may be thinking, well, the Orcs are okay. They're but the Skrulls could easily just not only mimic an Orc and pretend to be like them, but the Skrulls are also going to do something that. Remember that whole thing I said about, the Skrulls can, have advanced technology, and they keep advancing their technology when they encounter a new foe? Well, these guys have, it has been said shown in multiple comics that they have old Skrull doomsday weapons that are essentially like the genophage in Mass Effect, where they can just destroy a genetic code of a species and degrade it. Like I said, it's like the genophage. So imagine if they realize, once they figure out where the Orcs are coming from and what they are, yeah, they're probably going to invent. Now, I don't know how it would take them a while. It probably would take them a while, but I honestly think that they could probably build something that could, destroy the reproduction mushrooms. I know there's a better word for it, but that could just cut it off, and just eventually the Orc race would just get chipped away throughout a couple thousand years. So but again, that one takes time. I also think it would be kind of funny for the Orcs to be like, hey, they's greeny like us, but they's pointy-eared like them wimpy boys over there. Are they boys like us? They got good chins. So I think that'd be funny, where the Orcs wouldn't know what to do with the Skrulls, and then when the Skrulls open fire on them, they're like, "Oh, they's want a good crumpin'." My Orc sucks. Anyway, so now I'm gonna finally finish this video, because I kept thinking, oh yeah, this and then this. My brain just went on autopilot, so I'm sorry about that. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you think it would be like if the Skrulls came to the Warhammer 40k universe? Do you think they'd dominate, or do you think they would falter? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.